5 ways to instantly glow up. So in the past, I've been very insecure. That's kind of like an insidious quirk with my brain. It's just like I'm very insecure when it comes to like my appearance, right? So you might be able to relate to this in maybe like a bit of a lesser amount or maybe more, I don't know. But I talked about this before. I have CPTSD, and one of the annoying ass parts of that is like a toxic inner critic, which basically berates you for not being attractive enough, for not being perfect enough in many senses. And one way it plays out is not liking how you look, right? So this is something I've put a lot of effort into, and I think I've improved myself a good amount in this area. But it's also something to understand that a lot of this is mental, and I'm going to talk about that too. I'll go through the physical things you can change, but it's important to understand that there's a limit to that, right? You can only do so much for your genetics, and once you are doing those things, you need to work on your mental state and how you're perceiving yourself, right? So, yeah, in the past, I would wear like super like long sleeves. I would never wear a tank top or a t-shirt. I would wear my mask. I would have, a hood. For a time, even I had like a hat, a hood, a mask, and I was just like so insecure and so scared of like anyone seeing me, anyone seeing me being vulnerable. And it's kind of ironic because like I looked fine, like I wasn't like perfect or whatever, but I looked like an average dude, and the amount of insecurity that's being portrayed by how I was seeing myself was way more than just like being how I was, which is interesting. So I'm Etienne, and I mean I'm just a dude, but I hope that can help you out. So there's a few problems with this, with not looking great, right? If you don't look great and you don't have good self confidence because of that, then people will treat you worse. Number one, because if you don't see yourself as being confident and you don't portray value to other people, people are gonna see, okay, this guy has no value, so I'm just gonna treat him like shit. That's it. It's kind of cutthroat, but that's just how it works. It's not like people are thinking that consciously, but that's just how like animalistically it happens, right? The second thing is you feel like shit. People treat you like shit, but you feel like shit, and that's worse because if you feel bad, then you feel bad. That's your experience of life, and then you're fucked, right? Um, and your confidence is low too. So if you're trying to do things that require confidence, like talking to girls or making friends or doing things that are out of the norm or things like that, if your confidence is low, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble and a lot of difficulties with that because it's not easy, right? It takes some guts, it takes some balls. And another thing that which I think is a big motivator, even if a lot of people like to like go around, like skirt around this and like act like this is not a motivator for them, and I don't know. I mean, it might not be for some people, but girls won't like you as much. And if girls won't like you as much, then you'll get less girls. Even just animalistically, your brain is highly motivated by that. So that's a negative thing. And before you leave, I'm gonna explain how to max out everything, all your physical stats, because you can act like the game of attractiveness doesn't work or isn't there, right? You can act like it doesn't matter. You can act like people don't actually care how you look, but it's not true. People do actually treat you differently based on how you look. It's true. That's just how life works, and it's not fair. But you can either deny that the game is being played, or you can play the game and you can win. That's it. And this is something that the black pillars, like we've all seen like the black pillar videos, like that shit's kind of true. It's right in a sense. I mean, they're also like kind of dumb, and they get a lot of things wrong, but in a sense, people do treat you better when you look better. Simple. So yeah, the first thing, which I think is lifting and progressively overloading, getting to your dream physique or your peak like lifting potential, right? Your highest amount of muscle mass while being lean. What's attractive and what looks good is, big upper body, big shoulders, thick neck, small waist, things like that. The one important thing for this, there's a ton of lifting videos. I'm not gonna, go into super into depth in lifting, but one thing that's really important is to train neck, because most guys never train neck. And what are the muscles that are always showing, right? What are the muscles that even if you're wearing, like long pants and long sleeves, what are the muscles that you see, right? Maybe you see like some of your shoulders, maybe you see that someone's like a little bit more bulky. But if they're wearing clothes, one of the only muscles you might see is the neck, unless you're like shirtless or whatever. You might see the neck, you might see maybe biceps and triceps, maybe like some forearms. But in every photo, in pretty much everything you do, your neck is always showing. And so many people neglect it because, like, I don't know why. I think it's weird or something like that. But training neck just makes your face seem so much like more attractive. If you look at pictures, you can see someone who's not trained their neck, or it'll even be like an edited video, someone like where their neck is like edited to be smaller, and then when they train neck or whatever, or bigger neck, and you'll see it, they look so much more attractive. Like, it's the exact same face, the exact same jawline, and they just look way better. So that's really important. It's probably like 30-40% of lifting is just training your neck, and nobody does it. So the second thing is mewing. Mewing is, I think some people know about this just because like it kind of blew up, but people don't actually do it. There's a book called Jaws, which is super interesting, where they follow like two twins or whatever. In the book, there's like two twins, and one had like allergies, right? And so her face ended up being like, she was like super pretty, and then her face kind of like ended up being a little bit fucked up, and it like went like her jaw receded and stuff like that. And it just like, you can look up nose breathers versus mouth breathers. Fuck. And you can see that's like a similar concept. If you're nose breathing, then you're also more likely to be mewing, versus if you're mouth breathing, you're obviously not mewing. And that's the same like basic thing. If you have your tongue pressed to the top of your mouth, it'll project your face forward. It'll help your like face develop better. You'll look like more masculine and better like that. So basically what you want to do if you're just starting out is, it feels terrible when you start out. Like, it literally feels like you're being suffocated. Like, it sucks. I remember being on the bus to school in high school, and I would be trying to mew, and I would like do it for 2 seconds like shittily, and I'd be like because afterwards, because I could not fucking breathe during that shit. But you do it for a while, and you like look up and then like try to put your tongue to the top of your mouth like that. I can't really speak and do it. You get the point though. And then you slowly build your endurance, like very, very slowly, until you just do it naturally, normally, and even while you're sleeping and stuff, which is where I am now. And it took maybe 6 months or whatever. So yeah, not that big of a deal. Third thing is skincare. So skincare is important because it's your skin. That's what people see. Some people just get dealt like shitty hands with acne. It's kind of an L. Like, I mean, people have had like worse acne, like, you know, cystic acne and shit like that. But I don't know. I didn't get like super lucky with skin. You know, my grandpa had like fucked up acne, like way worse than me and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But it's important to go to the dermatologist and then just get your skincare right. Because if you don't have your skincare right, then it just looks worse. You know what I mean? It's pretty simple, self-explanatory. Yeah, I don't understand why people like don't want to do skincare. Like, when you go to the doctor and tell them that you've like been doing it, actually, they'll say like nobody actually does it. It's kind of funny. Like, what are you scared of, putting cream on your face? Like, fuck's wrong with you? You know what I mean? The fourth thing is clothes, and specifically if you're like close to your goal weight, or if you don't plan on changing your weight that much, then a suit. Because, or if you're just rich or whatever, you could just buy a suit, whatever. Because a suit just makes you stand out. It makes you seem much cooler and much like different from other people around you, which is a positive thing. And especially if you wear clothes, it doesn't even have to be a suit. If you wear clothes that you feel confident in, you will portray that confidence, and then you also just look better in general because you're wearing nicer clothes, but you also feel better, which is a great thing. So the last thing, and I'm also going to talk about mental health and how you perceive yourself, because that's really important. But 5 is posture. So you can like have shit posture, and then no matter how attractive you are, you look like a dork. Like, literally, if you have the nerd neck posture like this, like I'll even show you just like this, right? Like that, you just look dumb. Like, versus if you have like confident posture. And obviously I'm over exaggerating it, but most dudes like literally stand like this, like at least like that. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't portray any like inner strength. You just seem like a loser, basically. So yeah, it's super important. And this is something I recognized a lot in the past. I think my second video was about posture because it's like super important. And it's also pretty simple. The only things you have to do for improving your posture are pay attention to it. So like if you notice yourself hunching down, you just like imagine there's a string from like the, you know, your chest, and you like kind of imagine you're being like suspended or pulled up like that. And then you do neck tucks, close enough. And you do that, and you give yourself like a double chin, and you hold it for a couple of breaths and do like 3-4 times a day or whatever. And then you do like shoulder tucks, the same thing where you like pull your shoulders back for 2-3 breaths. And you do that 3-4 times a day. And people treat you much better if you have good confidence or good posture and good confidence because of that. If you have good posture, it's kind of like, because most people don't have this posture, right? So when you see somebody who has confident posture, it's not something that they'll think about consciously, but unconsciously, people will treat you better. People will treat you like, okay, you kind of don't want to fuck with this guy, because it's kind of like that caged beast. It's like you're not showing it, you're not expressing it, you're not gonna like be a dick and like act like you're gonna beat somebody's ass, right? You have that alpha male, but it's within you, you know? It's like, it's something that you can unleash at any point when you feel threatened. So you just act, you know, you just like portray that. And you also look better because of it, because you're not like a fucking computer, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's better. Now, something that's very important is how you perceive yourself. It's something I've talked about in this video, and I've kind of like been repeating a little bit. And the things that I repeat, just notice that they're super important because I want you to like really understand them and really like ingrain them in your head. So what you want to do is fill yourself with positive thoughts. Every time you get an insecure thought, like, you know, you just get thoughts. This is something I've struggled with a lot, but you just get thoughts where it's like, oh, it's a bad hair day today, or my skin looks a bit shit, or, you know, I wish I was taller, or like I'm not big enough, whatever. There's two parts of self-love. One is this stuff, which I just went over, right? You do these 5 things, so you're like looking better about yourself. The second part, which a lot of people don't really do, is self-compassion. It's self-love. It's accepting yourself as you are. It's not a binary. You have to do both. You have to not trash yourself. You have to refuse to like berate yourself or call yourself ugly or things like that. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to change this habit, and that's something I'm working on too, because it's just, once you have that, you know, that habit started, it takes a very long time of canceling it out and like saying the opposite things, you know, thought stopping, thought correction, in order to flip your mindset and flip your beliefs. But after a while, you start to develop more self-love and more self-confidence, and you're less reactive, and you're less you care less about what other people think. You care less if someone, because there's gonna be people who think you're ugly. That's it. Whatever. Like, it's their fucking loss. There's gonna be girls who think you're ugly, and that's her fucking loss. Whatever. You know what I mean? But it's important to just perceive yourself as good looking, perceive yourself as confident, having value, and just loving yourself, because it's super important. So yeah, as long as you do these 5 steps and then you also love yourself, so you're not neglecting any part, you can kind of put it out of your mind. You don't have to like obsess about it and think about it and keep watching all these videos. You can just do those things, take some action in things you already know, and love yourself, and you're good. So yeah, hope that was helpful. Have a good one. Peace.